Hello, Muscle Car Corner. I'm here with Butch Leal, a legend in drag racing, and talked him into an interview. And I wanted to discuss his career, how he got into it, and his first drag car, and then we'll talk about some of his career, and then get involved in what's in this car and what made this car win. So, Butch, so glad to see you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Nice to get this interview.
Yes, sir. So, tell me about how you got into drag racing, your first car, and kind of elaborate on that if you would.
Well, I'm a young kid in the San Joaquin Valley of California, and my dad had a trucking business. Of course, they had a 3-speed and a 5-speed transmission. I was young, 10 years old. I could drive a truck, and I learned the clutch pedals and devices. And as things went on, I got older, probably 12, 13. I got a Model A, and then I ended up trading it for a 46 Ford and took the engine out and freshened it up. My dad's mechanic helped me because he knew about flatheads, and it helped a lot. And I'm learning all about engines and stuff at that time. And well, when you're 16 years old, my folks said I could have any car I wanted.
Really?
Yes, and so I'd work with loading hay every day on the trucks with a hay loader, and so I decided I wanted a 60 El Camino. The Impalas those days, or Bel Airs, they were 35 horse.
Really?
Three twos were 335. We call them 335. Well, the El Camino was 350 horse. So naturally, my mother subscribed Hot Rod magazine for me, and I seen this 350. Well, I'm thinking, well, heck, it's a lot better than the 335 or more horsepower.
Sure.
So I got it, and it actually came in on my 16th birthday.
Wow.
I think I went through 2 tanks of gas that day, my girlfriend and I, and we drove it, and I'm driving it, and it was okay. I had a friend of mine that had a 335 Impala.
Oh, yeah?
Older than I was, of course, at that time, and he pretty good 4-speed driver. So we went to Bakersfield, Formosa, this very famous place.
Of course.
Only 40 miles away, and they raced once a month. So I went, and I was so nervous I let him drive my El Camino. Well, he made it to the final and got beat. So, okay, it runs pretty good. I think it would run 101 or 2. And anyway, the next month, I wanted to go back and see everything. So I decided I'd drive. Well, it wasn't a mistake, but the big mistake, I won the race. So, yeah, away I went. And
that started off, huh?
That started it off. And I was very fortunate to meet H.L. Shahan, which is Shirley Shahan's husband.
Okay.
And we got it tuned up even more. Put headers on it. I won the first race without just stock. And anyway, eventually we ended up getting it running 106. And
Wow.
I won about 60 to 61. I won almost 90 races with it. So I was okay. I won a 409. So I got a Biscayne because the reason I did that rather than the Bel Air, the bubble top, it was because it was 100 pounds lighter.
Really?
Yes. And so I like light. And end up out running Nicholson and all the guys. Because it was fast and real fast. And
That was the X11 that you bought, you
Pardon
said.
me?
Was that the X11 you bought? Or the Z11?
No. Okay, that's a 62. That Chevy noticed what I was running really well and beating some people with it. Even their own car. Hayden probably was driving the bubble top, and he was the fast. Him and Dino, and I could outrun them.
Really?
So they decided they'd get a Z11, and they were a pretty heavy car because it was an Impala with aluminum front end, but it was 427. And I ran it until the middle of that year. And
Okay.
Chevy General Motors dropped racing completely, NASCAR and drag racing, because they sold too many darn cars.
Mm-hmm.
The government tried to split them up, and they didn't want to do that. So, but anyway, a week later, Mickey Thompson was racing Pontiacs, of course, and so he found out, and he flew to Dearborn and got a Ford deal. So 2 weeks later, I have a lightweight Galaxy with
Wow.
a fiberglass 427. They got it running well. Then the Thunderbolt came out.
64.
64 high riser, and I mean, I flew with it. It flew. I won Indy with it. I won the Manufacturers Cup for Ford. Actually, my daughter, oldest daughter, was born while I was at Indy that year, and so anyway, I went to race, and I'm sitting there, and they don't have a budget for me, and my heart fell to my stomach, and I went. There's a reason for that I don't want to talk about right now, but anyway,
Sure.
Mr. Cahill from Chrysler tapped me on the shoulder and wanted to speak to me outside, so I went to talk to him. He wanted 4-speed drivers because mostly the Chrysler guys were automatic drivers. So I think he hired Ronnie Sox, myself, Dave Strickler. They had hired and 4-speed drivers. So we had some good 4-speed drivers. And I was always a 4-speed driver, so it worked for me, and it was a great career from there on with Chrysler. I had the first altered wheelbase car, the funny car.
Did you?
Yeah, the very first Plymouth.
What year was that?
65.
Right.
Okay, we got 65, and this.
That's when you switched
vehicle. They made 6 Plymouths, 6 Dodges.
Gotcha.
They kept 1 Plymouth to test with, so it was 5 Plymouths, and so 5 of us, Plymouths, 5 Dodges, 6 Dodges, and mine was faster than the speed of sound, man. And I built my own engines.
Sure.
So, you rub them and love them, they go faster and faster. And the Hemi really talked to me for some reason. And anything I would do, touch it liked it. If it didn't like it, it'd tell me and which way to go. And
you had a relationship.
I'm hired to race, so I work on it day and night.
Yeah.
Basically, I worked real hard at that time. I'm 21 years old at that time, so I'm going pretty strong. And
amazing for a 21-year-old.
Yeah, and then halfway through 65, well, just before Indy, I get a call from Chrysler, and they want me to run Superstock because I had won Superstock in 64 with a Ford, see what I could do in 65. So I don't have a car, Superstock car. I said, well, we have one in Tennessee.
Sure.
Ashley Motors in Tennessee. So I ran down to Tennessee, went back to Sox and Martin's place, painted it. I put my spare engine out of the all wheelbase in it, which was a legal Superstock engine, and with carburetors. And so everything went good. Called Doug a day. He sent me in one day, and the next day I had headers for it, and worked on it, painted it. I'd be darned if I didn't win Indy.
Wow,
well, that was great. Now I got to paint my trailer along with my truck. Now I got this most beautiful rig. It's got the all-wheelbase car on the truck. It's got an orange and white trailer on the back.
Nice.
Of the car. Man, it looked so. I thought it was just great.
What color was the car?
The car was red and white.
Red and white.
It's poppy. I painted it poppy red, which is a Ford red. Because if I scratched it, I could repaint it real fast.
Sure.
And it was Chevy white.
Yeah.
So I call it refrigerator white.
That's what they all called it.
Right, they all call it in those days, and it was easy to touch up if you happen to scratch it.
Sure.
Well, I didn't scratch it, but anyway, that was my thought. It got better and better, and then at the end of 65, they wanted me to do the clinic, like the clinic thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 21, I don't want to do it. So I said, well, I talked to Mr. Cahill. They owed me quite a bit of money.
Really?
Yeah. And I said, why don't you keep the money, and I'm going to build a fuel funny car.
Really?
Yeah, I said, okay. And so I did that, and I said, give the deal to non-grocer. And they did, Plymouth. And I said, perfect. And so I built a Logie car. Like the Comets came out first,
yep.
Logie was building it. Well, I knew Ron Logie real well, and I called him and said, I need one of those cars, chassis. He said, I can't do that. And I said, why? He said, I have a contract with Mercury. So I said, when's it over? And he told me, I said, here's what I want you to do. Build me a car down.
Okay.
Put a camera plate in it. When he walks in, he sees it's a Mercury. And I said, then put a 426 plate in it and put it under your desk or somewhere and hide it. So the day it was over, I got the car. I went down to Dayton, Ohio, and sprayed the body, made the body myself, and did the 10 work there. went home, and I never got outran.
Wow.
But I run 100% in it.
Did you?
Yeah, it was injected. It wasn't blown.
Oh, okay.
And because we only had 10-inch tires back then.
Yeah.
And it was the first car to go into 7. The
Really?
thing weighed 1,720 pounds.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
it was quick. It didn't weigh nothing. And I've always been like light. You can't outrun a feather, I always said.
Yeah.
So, and then it progressed, and I built a blown car, bought another Logan
Really?
chassis. I sold it to Schumacher from here in Chicago. Everybody knows Don Schumacher. He called me. At that time, we didn't have fire extinguishers back then, and you could get burned up pretty bad. And I'm thinking, I don't know. And I bought a brand new Keith Black.
Nice. What'd that cost back then?
10 grand.
Really?
I paid $10,000 for the blown motor. Talked to Keith, and we lowered the compression a little bit, and I was going to run 100 in it. So,
What compression ratio were you running then?
Probably 7.5.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Gotcha.
I can remember, and we did lower from what some of the engines he had, and he said he'd never do it before, run 100. I said, well, I don't have to mix it up. I don't have to mess with the hydrometer. I just pour 100 like I did in my injected car.
Sure,
anyway.
sure.
Okay, so I get a call. I went with Jack Christmas to Long Beach because he had the mercury blown, and Jack is a really good friend of mine. He was going to help me figure out how to tune one of those.
Gotcha.
things. So first run, it catches the intake and it blows the roof off of it.
Oh my gosh.
So, but I didn't hurt him. So we go back to his house and he glues it back on. I take the head off and he fixes that. Well, we go to Bakersfield the next day, which is headed towards my place. So cool. Go there first run, it does it again. This time it burns him pretty good.
Oh my gosh.
Well, so Monday I get up and I'm walking around the car talking to it. I said, "Don't hurt me." You know? I'm thinking to myself, financially, if I don't get a lot of match races with the thing, I just can't. I'm going to end up spending my money. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
Well, the phone rings. My wife comes out and says, "You know Don Schumacher?" I said, "Of course." I remember racing him here when he had a Chevy.
Sure.
He said, "I understand Butch, your car's for sale." Nobody knew that. No one. Then I said, put it to him this way. Everything's for sale.
Right price.
At the right price. Is
Yep.
exactly what I said. He said, "I'll be there tomorrow." It was interesting. He flew there, came, and him and this tuner guy, and Don, and they drove up, looked at the car. He said, "I want you to do something for me." I said, "What's that?" He said, "I got everything arranged at the airport. So take it to the airport. I'm going to fly it to Chicago." He flew it to Chicago.
Nice.
That was nice.
That's cool.
I said, "Take care of my baby,"
Yeah, yeah.
And he won the championship with it.
Really?
Yeah.
So what'd you go into after that?
It was a Stardust car.
Oh, the Stardust.
Yeah, Stardust.
Oh, I remember that car.
I made the body and everything. First run, I think it folded the front end up. He went over 200. I made it, I didn't think about making it any stronger.
Sure,
He put a new nose on it and everything. History after that.
That was a special car.
We were good friends for all these years.
Yeah.
Until recently passed away, of course, but we're the same age.
Are you?
Yeah. He'd be 80 now, I think. I just turned 80.
Well, you sure don't act or look like 80.
Oh, well, that'll cost me 100, I'm sure.
Oh, no. Well,
Anyway, it went on from there, and I want to talk a little bit
Yeah,
about...
let's roll the clocks to 1975.
Yeah, well, this is...
And let's talk about this amazing California Flash.
What happened is, basically in 74, NHRA kept putting too much weight on the Hemi to compete in Pro Stock. I love Pro Stock. I invented Pro Stock for NHRA, helped them.
Sure.
Got them started. And so I said, okay, I'd built a 74 Superstock car, a 990 car. I had 4 of them.
Wow.
Different years, but Ron Butler built me a really nice one. Well, they go to 75, they wanted me to do the direct connection program. So I said, okay, so we built this car in 10 days.
Really?
10 days.
How many people?
5.
Wow.
Had 5 people at Butler's shop. I'm talking about painted. It was on the next cover of a Carcraft magazine. it didn't. And when they went to the studio, it didn't have an engine or transmission in it. We didn't have time to put it in. They had to be at the studio. So
Gotcha.
people don't know that. You can't tell.
Yeah.
And
I love the color combination of these.
well, they
this car.
Chrysler designed this, and I've always been red, poppy red and white. Okay, and the stripes like it. But this came out okay as far as I'm gonna say I wasn't in love with it, but it looks nice.
It does. It's a good color combination. Red, white, and blue.
Well, what's nice about doing this combination, this engine came out of my Pro Stock car.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me about this engine.
396. It's not a 426. It's
Really?
a D-stroke 426.
Okay.
Because it's weight per cubic inch.
Okay.
So I had everything that figured out. I needed to run it was sitting in my shop, so done, and I outran everybody with this engine.
Gotcha.
In Pro Stock. So I bolted it in, put a 4-speed in it, and put ladder bars on it. And in this 10-day period, I go to Pomona with it. I get out in the final. I get outrun with a Volkswagen outran me.
What?
I had to spot him 8th mile, but I couldn't catch him. And so, pretty simple. I just really upset about it. So I
bet.
I go to NHRA and I says, where are them Volkswagens made? The United States? I said, how the hell is a Volkswagen outrunning? They put 2/10 on him. So I go to Gainesville and I win Gainesville with a car. I eliminated it. Easy to do it with a pencil.
Unreal.
I'll see you. Very nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
How you doing? I'm Brad.
Hi, Brad.
Anyway, I did that and we won Gainesville.
Well, I was there in '75 and I did see that.
That was
so
a wonderful thing. And I win that, and then I win the Winter Classic, and then I win Pomona. I did build another car after this one, Arrow after this car, Plymouth
Arrow.
Yeah, I run big gas.
Wow.
But I did run this one at the Winter National, so that I did 75 and 76. Well, I was modified driver of the year, Carcraft modified driver of the year.
Wow.
I won 3 national events with it. It was really a nice car to drive. It's a fun car. It'd go 961 every run. Just about, so.
Well, how much did that little Arrow weigh? Those things were super light, weren't they?
No, these are heavy.
No, the Arrow, the Plymouth Arrow.
Oh, the Arrow is, but I forget. It's the same thing. Pro Stock engine 396, big gas.
Gotcha.
I forget what, 5, 6, 7, 6, 5. I don't know how many pounds it were.
Okay, gotcha.
And
so
I just don't remember. But
de-stroking it.
I had a lot of weight in the Arrow because of that. I match raced it. I built the Arrow because I wanted to match race it so with Jenkins and Nicholson.
Of course.
Back then. And I did build a 455-inch, stroked it to 455. This engine in the Arrow would go about 830s, 100,
wow.
162, 63 in the Arrow. I built the other one and I went 796, 171 with it. Just a little
with
bigger.
this?
Yeah, with the Arrow. So it was lightning fast.
Wow.
Didn't weigh nothing with the weight out of it. So.
Well, let's talk about the internals on this motor. I'm looking at, these heads, the dual plug heads. What really made this car win? What were some of the little tricks that you did or was done to get this car to where you got it to?
Well, first of all, let me get around here. I'll show you that Excel made this ignition distributor itself.
It's dual point.
As you can see, Excel made this for us. There's no points. There's nothing. It runs off a crank trigger.
Oh, really?
The timing.
Okay.
I got a question that says, does both spark plugs fire at the same time, or does all of it? I said, no, they fire at the same time. But one thing I did do, it kept one from fouling, the plug from fouling. I never did foul a plug, but
I got you.
It really did help a lot, but it really looks nice.
Yeah. And to de-stroke this, did you change the crank on it, or was it rods?
Just the crank.
Gotcha. And it brought it down, and I guess...
I think it was I can't remember. I think it's like 3,650 stroke and 3,750
Gotcha.
to 426.
Gotcha. How different was the motor from when it was a 426 to when you de-stroked it? How did the motor act? Did it have a lot more RPM range?
Not well.
It didn't have quite the
somewhat.
torque that the 426
yeah, right.
did.
And sort of. You do that. It takes a little different camshaft.
Yeah.
And obviously,
What lift cam was that?
By doing that, obviously, if you're de-stroking it, you're losing compression.
Gotcha.
So I tightened everything back up as tight as I could get it. I closed the center line of the camshaft to make it think it had more compression.
Mm-hmm.
And the duration was 296, 296.
Wow.
So
what was the lift on?
I can't remember what the lift
in the
was.
six range.
Well, what happens with these things? I run the stock rocker, which is not a 7.5 or anything like that. I don't know what a Hemi is. A Fox Hemi is. That's what I ran. I think it's 5.5s or something like that. There's not much lift.
Gotcha.
And we needed more, so I radiused my tips and got a little more. Just old stuff. I checked everything. Of course, when I make this thing, I build these engines. I do each cylinder one. I just tell myself this is a one-cylinder engine, so I fit it perfect. I go to the next one and do the same. All 8 cylinders are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Every piston to valve, every piston to head, everything's the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it runs really well. I mean, my stuff. I lighten the crank up as much as I can, and you get light parts and everything.
Of course.
I don't use a big heavy.
That's your whole theory, and that's a great theory.
Well, you're using. You get on the balancer, the most bob weight, 3,100 grams. Hell, that's NASCAR. Your Chevy's like 20 something. So I'm going, okay, that's not working. So you can take an engine like this, use the stock parts, put it on a dyno. Just say we're making 1,000. Take it apart, lighten everything up internally, put it back on. It'll make 1,000. The difference is it'll get. It revs quicker, so
of course,
with being light parts, so that's where the difference is. But that doesn't make any more power because it can spin for quicker. It just gets there quicker.
Gotcha. What was the horsepower projected, or did you dyno them?
No, I didn't. Back then we didn't dyno them. So, no. But I'm thinking this thing probably had 800 maybe.
Around 800.
It's supposed to be pretty good.
Heck
396,
yeah.
Maybe less.
And then what gear did you run in it?
Had a Dana. It has a Dana under the
410?
456.
456s? Gotcha.
555, 38s. Let me ask Danny. Hold on a minute. Let me ask him real quick.
Gotcha.
I gotta ask.
What rear end ratio you think I read in this thing?
You told me one time 513.
That's what it was.
Oh, 513. Gotcha. Well, and then it's a 833 4-speed, or is this a torque flight car?
Well, the secret to the thing is, another that I learned, I had about five 4-speeds.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had different ratios of low gear.
Ah.
Stock was 266. Then they have a 280, and then I had 292 and a 310. I used the 310 low gear.
Really?
Well, it's smaller cubic engine, a lot of weight. It has to weigh, it's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And you need to get it launched,
So did everybody do that with the transmissions?
I don't know what they did. I wasn't.
You just know what you did.
This is what this thing wanted. I never had a tack in my life. So
really, just all by ear.
Well, feel
yeah,
hear it.
Well,
you don't have time. Here's my story. You don't have time to. These things are moving so fast. You don't have time to look at a tack.
Yeah. You really don't.
And if you got the tack, think about this. You got a tack. You throw it up in the air and hit you in the head. It hurts like hell. Well, that's weight. I don't put weight in my car.
Well, every little pound counts.
Everything.
We were looking at the.
Well, look at this. It has to have the stock. There's no way to move it. They'll throw you out of the class. It has to be stock body.
So pro stock, we were looking at Landy's car. They used and put aluminum on these panels and took all the steel out.
Yeah, you got
and
it.
the upper cow panel and everything.
You use a flat firewall. Well, guess what? When I built my 73 Duster, it was a first tube chassis car. We didn't put aluminum in it.
Really?
We put magnesium in it. It's lighter than aluminum.
It is lighter.
We pickled it.
It's
made
stronger.
It look gold. Yeah, you couldn't tell it wasn't aluminum.
Another one of them little.
And I had the first one that the front end came off, and I could work on it. And it was a lot better. And,
Now, something that they told me about that I didn't know was they use 6-cylinder spindles and all the lighter suspension parts.
Oh yeah.
You're talking about shaving weight off.
Well, that's what you do. Yeah, you do. That's automatic almost. And like this one, all the small brake drums, and they're cut about in half, and the spindles are light. You're lighting the front end up. This one happened to be a crash. 75. They had the crash bumpers on.
Yeah.
So what I did to make everything legal is I took that off. That you and I can't hardly hold them.
Those big absorbers are heavy.
And I made them out of aluminum, and then I metal sprayed them so a magnet would stick to them. Lighten it there.
Man.
Lighten it there. The acid dip the bumper.
You had a lot of tricks under your sleeve.
You just got it. I think.
Did you know Smokey Unick?
Pardon me?
Did you know Smokey Unick?
I did.
I've got to hang out in his shop quite a bit. I lived in Daytona.
Well, my cousin, Ronnie Broadhead, he had Pontiacs. And he went back to see Smokey, and we got some ideas of his 60 Pontiac back in 1960, which was actually 62 or 3. He was a junior stock eliminator champion.
Yes.
389, I think, or whatever they were, the Pontiacs. And I actually drove the car a couple of times. And I won Pomona in it.
Nice.
I drop. That's my cousin. I do anything I can to make him faster. We got it running real well.
Reason I brought him up because all these little tricks you're talking about, that's stuff that he would do.
Well, sure. You got to think about it. NASCAR guys did it.
Did you ever get caught? They'd pull you down and get your hand slapped.
Later, with the pro stock stuff, they allow you an inch NHRA, so you can cut the roof line an inch. And it just adds more work. It costs more money to do all that stuff.
It does.
But when they're building it, that's the way to do it. You get in the wind tunnel, it helps.
Yeah.
The arrow in the car, so there's so much to do to these things. It's just hard to believe it.
Yeah.
This thing's got a gear drive, rather than a chain.
Oh, nice.
And
that makes it give a good whine to it. I like the sound of a gear drive.
You're right about you saying that.
You've got quite
interesting you said that. Donovan. That's a Donovan gear drive.
Oh, is it?
Okay. So now, how they whine. So, obviously, my shop's not too far from Donovan.
Oh, okay.
So I go over there, and he says, "Why don't you run my gear drive?" He just started with it. What he's trying to do, if I run it, he can sell them to Chrysler. See? I said, "They whine. I don't want to hear that stuff, man. I can't hear the engine.
Sure.
For the damn whine."
Sounds like a blower.
He said, "Well, you don't know how to put it on."
You should.
I said, "Why would I want to know?" I said, "It goes over the 2 dials. How do I make it quit whining?" He came to the shop, showed me. We had to move it a little bit, tighten it down. Never made a sound. This one does not make a sound.
Really?
No.
Because I had a Pete Jackson on a motor
Pete
I built.
Jackson's worse, actually.
And that thing was, wow, I wanted it loud. I liked it.
He did it with my cigarette paper. That's how he moved it. And
Really?
it's kind of interesting. You make the whole each side bigger for the dial pin coming out.
Gotcha.
And you use the cam bushes, 2 degrees, 1 degree. You can just tap it around and he'll turn it over and feel it. That's it. Now take a chisel, tap them, and so they wouldn't move.
Mm-hmm.
Just bolt it right on perfect. Never made a sound.
I didn't know y'all used gear drives back then.
Well, I know nobody did until he made a nice one like this one.
Wow.
And then guess what? All of Chrysler bought a ton of them.
Oh, I bet. So when's the last time you've been behind the wheel of one on the strip?
You know what is it in Ohio at trails, national trails?
Yeah.
They call it the Nats, Chrysler Nat. I was just there at Gilkirk owned the rod shop, when we had the Pontiacs, and his daughter wanted to drive down the track. I told her I'd take her one of these days or let her drive it. So he said, "Let's do it finally." I said, "Okay." So he has I think it's 21 or 22 392.
Okay.
Gen 3 stuff.
Sure.
It run 114.
Wow.
So I talked him into getting a Whipple supercharger, and of course they're high compression, so it doesn't put out as much air. Okay, it will. So I go back and he's driving, 127. It felt so good. I felt it pulling hard. I'm listening to it. I said, this is a lot. This is fun, man. I hadn't been in a car in 30 years.
You gotta miss it. You gotta miss it.
Oh, I do. Of course I do.
It's part of life. You gotta keep on keeping on.
Well, another thing that's interesting about my life story. So we decided 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, they wanted to do a book on me. And so they did. They published a book. My good friend Bob McClure, he he did the whole book for me. And Fast Jack, he forwarded it for me. We're good friends, and he's an historian, so he knows all about my career, of course. And it is selling like hotcakes.
That's great.
Oh, it's really nice, and people need to look into it because it's one of the best ones out so far.
Well, why don't you talk about that real quick and let everybody here in Mopar land talk about it? What you got? You got a book out?
Here at the show, everybody's buying it because.
And what is the book? What's the name of it?
It's not a name. It's got a photo of my Thunderbolt on the cover. And right below it is my fire burnout, my Pro Stalker. I'm the only one that dumb enough to do a fire burnout. It's really nice. Will this thing show you? I'll come show you the book.
Sure,
okay,
sure.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, this is a pleasure here speaking with him about this. Oh, yeah.
Well, this is actually the book, and this is I'm 20 right here when I won Indy back in the day.
I'm going to have to get one of those from you.
Yeah, and it's my whole life story.
Oh, nice.
It's got everything in it, everything I ever done.
And you can get this on Amazon?
Well, you can't get it from me. You can get it from me with an autograph.
That's the only way they can get it?
You can get it through Amazon too, but you don't get an autograph.
Well, of course not. I'm going to have that. Okay. So look for his book. Butch Leal, California Flash, his life story.
Bob McClure. It took 2 years to do it, 2.5 years.
Wow.
Find everything. You can see Mickey Thompson and I.
Oh, nice.
Mickey and I, and it's got my Pontiac days, my end of my career there. All the wins. And I inducted into the International Hall of Fame.
That is cool. Well,
there's this car, of course, and you'll see through here some of my cars.
I'll be looking at that tonight.
My golf career.
I didn't know you were a golfer. What?
I qualified for the Senior U.S. Open.
Get out.
Yeah.
Man, you're a multi-talented dude, aren't you?
Well, I love golf.
There it is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll show you here. There's the Arrow.
Oh, yeah. I remember that car.
That's my wife, and she's helping me there.
No, neat. Now. She's the pour bleach up under it.
Oh, here's my golf career started there.
That is
and you
neat.
can see here in this, I belong to Lakeside in L.A.
Yeah.
This picture here.
Look at that.
This guy here, that's Frankie Avalon. We're buddies. And
that's cool.
Frankie's, I think 83 or 4.
I didn't know you're still alive.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing well, man.
He's an Andre Italian boy.
Well, tell me about, real quick, the name. How'd you get the California Flash?
Well, here we go. This is it's kind of interesting as you speak now. I come back to the east, towards the east from California in 1964 with my Thunderbolt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm off and running back. I stopped in Texas. I'm match racing them. The Chevelles with the Z11s and the Chevy versus Ford with Dickie Harrell, Alvin Durham, and the Honkers of Chryslers with my Thunderbolt with big tires on it, tinted, and it's fast, man, real fast. So I'm doing all that, and I go to the East Coast. Then I go to Chicago here about 5 times that year. Well, Ben Chris had what here in Chicago, US 31 they call it or something. Okay, well, him and Mickey are partners in an island, so we draw a pretty good crowd. So, but he invited me to come to have dinner with him in his condo. Him and his wife. She says, Ben said, look to me, he said, we got to get a name for you. He said, there's a great monster. There's something to draw people. I said, I understand. So we talked about it. His wife says, Butch, you raced for us 5 times. So you come in with white pants on, white tennis shoes, with your red shirt, and don't have a speck of dirt on it. She says, you're from California flag. I said, that'll work.
It stuck.
In 1964.
That's cool. I wanted to hear that from you directly because I didn't really know, and that's saying a lot too.
Well, it was very exciting years, of course, and during that time.
Well, you guys on the West Coast were always a little bit quicker than us on the East Coast for some odd reason. You guys were ahead of the curve. Me and Don Garlitz were talking about that when he was running back in the day, and the guys in California had to go out there and run them. And it was a tough run.
You got to remember back in those days, those guys were just like me, except me. I was a driver. I should have been smart enough to build something and sell it, but I wanted to race.
Yeah.
Well, we had anything you wanted there. So now you're going to try stuff that they don't get yet.
Yeah.
To come right out of the box. And so it's been a
You know, buddy?
Yeah.
Good seeing you again.
I'll go in the morning.
You and
when you going?
You go and the wife. We're leaving now.
Okay.
You and the wife have a good Thanksgiving.
We will. We will.
And I'll.
Super nice.
Well, what I'm going to do is.
Rag Mama.
Oh, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. He needs it, right?
Oh yeah.
He needs it.
Oh, he's aggravating now to me. I talk to him quite often. He goes, I'm getting too old. I can't do this. About 3 hours. I said, you need care. I said, you want some kerosene rags? Excuse me.
I know.
Wrap around your ankle so the ants can't get to your candy ass.
That's good stuff. We got it on camera.
We can talk.
We can do that with a buddy of ours for the last 60 years.
Oh, yeah.
I gotcha.
Go and see you. Have a safe trip.
Well, that's super good stuff, Butch. And, I'm so glad I got this. We're at about 37 minutes right now. And your story, career, this car, just the whole deal. This video is going to be great. And I like documenting the old drag racers and talking to them. And, we've lost.
We're all innovators, and we got, then I go on after that stuff in this car, and I end up with the Pontiac cars in the 80s, and with the rod shop, and Gil Kirk and I, and we put a team together. It was probably one of the best teams ever. I think 4 cars, and, it was a great team. And had nice uniforms. I mean, we were really...
You've had a storied career.
Oh, I had a friend of mine that I loved, Bob Riffle. He was farming. And he was a great driver too, by the way. Won a lot with the rod job, and I guess him and Gil got a little spat once, and and I said, I'm gonna go hire Bob. Oh, I don't know. I said, I'll handle him. Don't worry about it. And so I went to see him, and he said, well, what are you thinking? And I told him a number. He said, let me put my tractor up. I said, okay, buddy, we're off and running.
Tractor to drag car.
That's right. He just went back, and he was very, very smart.
That sounds like Arnie Beswick.
Yeah, well, we got together. He would always say, well, you went a little faster than me. I said, not when you and I are going to be together. I got stuff that you never knew about, and I'm sure you do. We'll put it together and see what we can do. And we rubbed the parts, did all the engine work together, and we flew. We really ran good. So we designed the Pontiac heads, the Pro Stock Pontiac heads there. I hired Ike poured them back then. It wasn't CNC machines like it should have been, but it turned out good. He was a good porter. And,
well, I tell you what, I'm so glad that I got this on camera, and I get you on my YouTube channel, and I'm just,
Well, call me when you get it on there for sure.
I will. I'm going to have to get a phone number from you and stay in touch with you.
I'll see if I can get it right now.
All right, Butch. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you
I'll
so
let
much.
Let you have